Hello, Miss Mary Scott. Oh, you're on mute. Come on off mute.
I'm on mute. There I am. There we go. You look so great, Robin. Oh
So do
yeah,
you.
you look
Hi.
awesome. You're rocking it out there in West Seattle.
I am rocking it in West Seattle.
That's great. That's great. That's good news. And it's down to me, and I'm like, oh no, it's just down
Well,
to
you
me.
know what? So just FYI, there's some people, other people who are interested in the audit program. Remember, we're recording. There were
Yeah,
other people who were registered but couldn't come live. So your questions, I'm sure, will be relevant. The discussion will be relevant. There'll be other people who will be
perfect.
listening into this and appreciate it.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, I just want an overview.
Yeah.
Uh, as you know, a long time ago, I mean, this feels like a million years ago, wanted to retake your whole program
Yes.
when it was live and so on. I was recently remarried. It was just too much yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
now that it's online with the option of meeting or not, I thought, this sounds wonderful. This sounds
Yeah.
perfect. And well, I'm sure it was all of us in the pandemic,
Sure.
teaching, teaching on Zoom, seeing clients on Zoom, and doing everything. I just need an infusion of something big time.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So I'll just start by saying that I am aware, and I know you've worked with me enough to know that I have a unique orientation towards yoga and yoga therapy that's informed from all of the other educational processes and trainings that I've gone through with functional anatomy and functional breathing and
Mhm.
somatics and a lot of other things that I weave into what I offer.
Yeah.
And then even in my yoga journey, I've learned more, and especially around Ayurveda. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn, and the more people I brought into my training program. The result is that I feel like our training is very uniquely rich and deep. And I'm not going to say better because I have colleagues who are doing fabulous work and offering fantastic programs. But one of the things that I'm aware of is that there were a lot of people who got grandfathered in, who
Mhm.
had been working as yoga therapists, but didn't receive the kind of in-depth formal training that I
Mhm.
was blessed to receive, and that then am now able to have been able to create, develop, and offer to my students. And
Mhm.
it seems like there's gaps, right? Like I imagine, and you and I had conversations a long time ago
Oh
where you
yeah.
were like, I went through this training, but I feel like there's gaps. Like I
I know,
want more,
I
I
know
want
there.
more. I want to fill those gaps. So actually you were one of the people in my mind when I thought, well, why don't I create an audit option where
Mhm.
yoga therapists who are already certified but aware of, like, I want more understanding of the whole psycho-emotional piece, and like I feel like I got a lot of the musculoskeletal sort of asana stuff I feel good with. I'm not
Mhm.
sure about that. Or I feel like I'm good with that, but I didn't really get the physiology. Like we didn't really go in depth on
Mhm.
Ayurveda. We didn't really go in depth on the systems of the body
Mhm.
or on the breath. And I really want that piece. I feel like I have certain tools, but I'm limited and I know there's more. And I don't want to go through a whole therapist training. I don't want to pay the money. I don't want to take the time, but I want some information. So the idea with this is, because our program is really structured, the applications portion of it, with the musculoskeletal, the
Mhm.
psycho-emotional, and the Ayurvedic physiology. The psycho-emotional is also Ayurvedic from an
Mhm.
Ayurvedic yoga perspective, as well as the Western psychology perspective, and a weave of those. And then the physiology is Ayurvedic physiology and Western physiology simultaneously. That people could pick and choose and be like, oh, this is my gap. Like I could just take that
Right.
portion, or these two are my gaps. I could take that, or I want to take it all. And
Yeah.
so having those options available, and the requirement is essentially, you say you want to do it for the sake of the Sangha, which is a very big part of my training programs. People build relationship and connection. People
Right.
share deeply in
Mhm.
conversation with one another. Is that people who would be auditing would either not participate in the Sangha and just watch the recordings, or participate in the Sangha and fully bring themselves in and
Right.
share, right? And actually get to know their colleagues and offer support and
Mhm.
kindness and friendship that way. And not be sort of like the outsider, well, I'm auditing, I don't have to talk or share on this, or I don't really, I'm just here for the information. If you're in for the information, fine, you can just watch the recordings. But if
Mhm.
you're going to show up live and be a part of the practices and a part of the lectures and the experiential processes, then the expectation would be that you fully participate in real time with the members of the cohort with
Yeah.
you. There's no expectation on having to do homework.
Mhm.
That said, if you're like, wow, this homework I think would really be good for me, it would be a good challenge, and I want the feedback, then we can talk about getting some mentor support, because otherwise auditors would not be assigned a mentor, because the mentors are really supporting you around
Mhm.
around your homework assignments and also around your practicum, seeing, like you're getting your
Mhm.
practicum hours. If you're already a CIAYT, you're not required to do all that because you already have done it.
Right.
So if you wanted to have mentor hours, then we could talk about how you could get some mentor hours if you wanted to have some feedback on the clients you're seeing now. I mean, that's the other piece, is that people who grandfathered in might not ever have gone through a program where they had any kind of mentor supervision with clients. And so they were always kind of making it up on their own. And it's really nice to have a colleague who's more experienced, who can lay eyes on and hear and like see what you're doing and be like, well, have you thought about weaving this or that in?
Mhm.
And in that, if people audit, right, they're going to be introduced to ideas, practices, and information that they not had likely before. So then how do they incorporate that information into what they're currently doing and make it make sense, and not have it be like, I usually do this, I don't really know how to bring that in. So some mentorship is an option, but not a requirement.
Mhm.
The homework is not a requirement, but you might find that some of the homework processes might speak to you, and you would
Mhm.
like to embark on them and get some feedback, because for your own personal
Mhm.
development, professional development. But that's how the audit is intended to be. And my sense is there's people who will find this to be a good fit for what they're looking for, to like fill
Mhm.
in those gaps.
And I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right. Because there were so many people grandfathered in. I mean, I was one of many hundreds, thousands, I don't even know. A lot, a
Mm-hmm,
lot,
mm-hmm.
you know. I mean, and I had, well, the original training I had was intense, really intense in certain areas. I mean,
Right.
very intense.
Yes.
And in other areas, it was like, huh? It
Yeah.
was not,
Just right.
and I knew, and as, we talked many years ago, I knew there were things missing, and I set out to learn those. I knew, okay, these pieces are, who can teach me those? How can I learn those? It was like I was patching my own program together
Right.
post-program,
Right.
um, and found you and did a bunch of work with you, and I used to drive. I actually live in southern Rhode Island now, but back then lived in upstate New York, and would drive to southern New York, down near Scarsdale area, Orange County, to spend a day with Fran Ubertini, who I know you
Oh,
know,
yes, of course.
and would spend a whole day with her and would do a whole bunch of stuff. And I used to, for several years, did that almost monthly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So really took a deep dive into,
Yes.
on and learned. It was great. It was great. So I found mentors in my own way.
Yes. Yes. And my hope with this auditing option is that people will find that there's cohesion, right?
Yeah,
That there's, whether they do one or two or all three portions, that it doesn't feel quite so patchwork, like from this tradition, right? Like that there's like, oh, it all loops together. And
right.
the mentors, I think most of them have, I mean, Melissa, for instance, has been a Vini yoga person for a very long time, but she started in Kundalini yoga. So I think most of the mentors have some experience out with training and teaching outside of the sphere of Vini Yoga, so they understand people coming in from different orientations and how to help, like with the, like, what, how, like, this is, how do I make it make sense for me
Mhm.
without making anything wrong or bad? Just like bringing it in, how to weave it into what you're already doing and
Mhm.
enrich what you're already doing, not like throw it away, right? Like, you're established, you're doing good work. I know you, Mary. I know you do very good work and bring a lot of integrity to what you do. And we're not wanting to change that for anybody. We just want to support a deepening of knowledge and a building of capacity to do
Mhm.
yoga therapy fully and well.
Mhm. And what a plan that is. It couldn't be better. Really, it couldn't be better, you know. And I think that's a really, to offer the audit option. I just know. I mean, I hope there's a lot of people interested in it because I know your work and I mean, I just ate it up. I mean, there was so much. Oh, really, you have no idea. I mean, there's so much I used, um, and still use and weave
Mm.
in so many different ways that it's just been invaluable to what I do as a yoga therapist.
I'm
So,
so glad. I'm
oh,
really,
I mean,
I'm so
that's right
glad to
from my
hear that.
heart. I really, truly mean that. I wanted to jump in when some of the people were, oh, I've been circling Robin for years. I'm like, just don't wait, just do it. Just do it. I mean, what are you waiting for?
So
But
on that note,
I better not do
if you wanted to jump in, Mary, and anyone else who's listening, keep this in mind. We
that.
start our physiology, our Ayurvedic physiology, and going through the physiologic systems and pathologies next month. And if
Oh,
anyone wants to start auditing with this current cohort and do this next from October through June, join us for that in-depth work.
oh
That's
wow.
a possibility. Contact me and we can get you in for that. And then you can go, if you want to do the whole thing, then with the next cohort, you would circle back to the musculoskeletal system and or the psycho-emotional system, but those won't be offered until 2026, something like that. Because
Oh,
the next cohort has to go through foundations of yoga therapy first.
oh, I
Mhm.
see.
Yeah.
So,
So if you wanted to get something going now,
okay.
Mary and whoever else, like, see me, let's
Yeah.
get you in plugged in with the
So it's
this
October through
next
June
piece.
for the Ayurvedic physiology. The psycho-emotional part. So when does that start in 2026? Do we
Oh my
know?
God. I would have to look that up. Actually, I can see Melissa is already on it. Here's what I know. Foundation starts October 2025 and it goes through, I think we start the musculoskeletal, I'm thinking psycho-emotional and like somewhere in the fall of 2026. Is that true, Melissa?
You-
I can't hear you because
Foundations goes through
2026. Oh,
2020,
oh, there'll be a 2027 before we get to the psycho-emotional
January
piece.
27. Yeah. So
Oh
application
wow.
starts up in March
Oh
27.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's way out there.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the physiology, like, you would eat this up with
I
going through the
know.
systems and all the Ayurvedic pieces. Like, I think you'd really get a lot from it that
Yeah.
would keep you busy
Yeah.
for the interim until we get around to the next cohort.
And the
Okay.
respiratory physiology, I believe, is part of that as well,
And
right?
respiratory physiology is a part of that. Mhm.
Okay. All right. That sounds interesting. Um,
The Restore Your Prana program might be really, I know that you've done a little bit of the breath work with me, but doing the full certification would be another great way for you to go deep
mhm.
dive and support what you're already doing and cover some of the gaps.
Okay. And
Hmm.
what are the dates on that?
Well, that one, the next cohort starts in October as well, but it's self-paced.
Oh,
so, right, and we do that, you could start that anytime, Mary, honestly. You could just let me
oh,
know. And we would set you up with a mentor for that and get you
okay, all
started
right.
whenever you'd like.
And,
We can talk about it.
okay,
You can go back and listen.
I
You will
will.
have access. You can listen
Yeah,
to the discussion and the
I
input
will.
from the students and folks who have taken it.
Okay, I will. All right. And so, for reimbursement to you, say I just wanted to do, for example, the next segment, October to June, the Ayurvedic physiology. Um, so do people just pay for that section? Do you pay a section at a time?
Yeah, you can pay, and if you know that you want to do, I mean, because there's this gap, because you're not doing it, if you were to do this one and then wait, I would say just pay for this one. And then if you decide you still want to do the whole thing, we'll prorate it. So because there's a price break, if the more you do, like it's more for one, it's a little less for two. And then if you do the whole thing, can you give those prices, please, Melissa? Could you just put it?
What I put in the chat was the topics for this next
Oh,
Yeah,
session.
just a little bit of information there. Oh, and then um, there's also grief and loss, death and dying is also a topic there.
oh,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
in the next one. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot here.
Oh,
There's
wow.
definitely a lot here. Um,
Melissa, is there any way you can, I can see all this. There's a lot there, a lot there. Is there any way you can send me like a syllabus of these topics? That would be wonderful. And some idea of like, oh, just to take this, what will this cost me?
I
That's
actually,
cool.
if you could, um, I'm pretty sure we have those prices broken down for one semester,
Mhm.
either one part or two parts or all three. I'm pretty sure it's on the website. I also think that we have applications according to topic, that there is a document online.
Is it on
And
the
maybe you
website?
could put the link on the website. But I do understand that the EYT website is packed with information. So it's sometimes hard, things get lost because there's so much. I'm trying to convey so much. So it's okay if you missed that, but I think we did do
Okay,
that.
I'll look for it.
But Melissa, also, you can send that out to all the people that, Mary, and also the other people who signed up for the audit discussion, so that they
That'd
can
be
have that
great.
kind of breakdown, eat all three sections, so they can kind of see where, like, oh, I do have some gap, like there, that would be
That
good.
would be great. That would be
Yeah.
absolutely awesome. I would really appreciate it, and then
Yeah.
I'll
And it's
check
at
the,
the bottom of this page that I just copied into the chat is where you can
Great.
find it. But yes, I'll get that information out to you.
That's the document with the breakdown.
That
okay.
is the audit section. If you scroll down to the bottom of that page.
I'm all the way down there. Let me see. Oh, I don't know how to save this one in Zoom. Let me
When
see.
you, uh,
Let me
you know
just
what you
go.
can do? Here's what you can do. If you click on it, if you click on that link, then
Yeah.
it'll be up on your computer and you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
Just click on it and it'll open it up in your browser.
Yeah.
And then you can save it on your browser and
Yeah.
return to it.
Yeah. I'll do that. And
And I'm going to ask one more time, Melissa, do you have the prices there in front of you? I just think I mean, the full training is a lot. Our idea with the audit is to make it
yeah.
much less, to encourage people to not feel like that's a barrier to their getting the education they want. And it's also, there's high value because my faculty is tremendous.
Right.
It's 2,500 per quarter, and for the full course, it's 67.25. And per quarter is like per quarter of the program. I just want to point out that it's not like a quarter of a year.
Right.
So
The
it's
section.
It's a rounded
2,500
quarter, Mary.
for musculoskeletal, it's 2,500 for the psycho-emotional, and it's 2,500 for the physiologic.
Yeah.
And if you add those up altogether, it's like
Yeah.
7,500 or something like that. So it's like $1,000 discount if you do all three. And the whole program for applications is, I forget what our current rate is for taking it. It's, I don't want to not
I think it's
miss.
13,450 for
Yeah,
applications for the applications portion.
yeah. So it's half the price.
Wow.
You get all the education.
Yeah.
You don't, and then you have the option to have access to mentors if you choose to
Right.
do that.
For, an extra fee or whatever for.
Exactly.
Of
Yep.
course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I will check this out thoroughly
Okay.
and decide what I can tackle and when I can tackle it. But it just sounds like a